Pop Flip Flop. Welcome everybody to the Concealed Taco Dudes. Guest hosting. That's right. If you're a long time listener, you might recognize this voice.
Yes.
Sound and sultry and all that jazz. So, anyways, welcome here. I'm Tom Nelson, and I am here with Taco and Jason Christensen. How I got roped into this at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday after a hard day at work. And then guest hosting immediately. Who knows? Anyways, these guys are going to hit some sponsors, and then we're going to talk about stuff.
We are in the NOE studios. Anything new from NOE that you know of, Taco?
So I did actually come in, and I picked up a mold. It was the 25 cal hollow point mold.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember if I had done this last week or not, because all the weeks run together.
I know you
lately.
mentioned it.
Yeah, so I put together like a bin of, or a box of molds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to earn my keep, right?
Yeah.
Earn my product.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, and I brought something here. We'll talk about that with what we do with guns.
Okay.
It's bigger than all the guns I brought. That's for sure. And it doesn't even use gunpowder.
And it's not even a real gun. But yeah.
Oh, we got some fake pistol over here.
Yeah.
Which is fake for the ATF.
Yeah. So, yeah, NOEBulletMolds.com. Use coupon code FLT001. It'll save you 10%.
Yep.
They do have powder if you're local. So check the site, and you can only buy it if you're local.
Pickup
Yeah.
only?
Yep, local pickup only.
Okay.
So-
What's local? How far is local?
If you're willing to drive here.
This side of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
You get here.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. So he has like some decent powders out there.
Yeah. I
think I saw
got a
some
bunch
True
of
Blue,
them.
some H110.
I think
296.
anything that shoots the caliber that you're into is a decent powder nowadays. Like, what is that? What's that Winchester 231? What's it do? 9 mil?
9 mil.
I'll
45.
take it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what data it has. It's not in my books.
It'd be
Put it
worth
in
the
there.
drive from another state. You could
Oh,
get your
gosh.
picture taken in front of the Concealed Taco Dude's billboard.
You guys got that going for you. I'm just so happy that there's nothing to really rob, where you guys are. If, there was good thing Utah doesn't have riots.
Yeah.
Because they would see that and they're like, what are these people? Firebomb it. Gina, get the firebomb.
Nice. Next, Black Ice Coatings. BlackIceCoatings.com. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook. Gun finishes galore.
I had my favorite pistol that was looking pretty ratty in 2020, and I was like, I want to buy a new gun. And then I was like, think about this, Thomas. Just refinish that one that looks ratty. Because I would go into the gun store and see the exact same gun, and then I'd be like, that gun's hot. You own it. Yours looks like dog crap. And then so I took it over to Lee at Black Ice Coating, and I was expecting to pay for what I did. I had a slide and a barrel refinished in the black ice.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're going to walk in there, if it's $120, you're going to suck it up and take it because you want your gun to look good. And then he quoted me something that's like, what if I take the slide apart? And then he quoted me $60 for the slide and barrel. Yeah. And I was like, it's yours, Holmes. Get it out of there. It's a fantastic job. And honestly, that finish is the lubricity of it and the finish of it is like, it's just great. Like, take your guns out, go shoot your guns. When they look ratty and you're thinking about buying another one, just send the non-FFL part to Lee at Black Ice Coatings and then just have him do it. When you get it back, okay, the barrel might still be shot out, but it looks but it looks good. It still looks good. And looking good is half the battle. Like, most of us don't practice anyway, so you might as well look good at it. Head over to Black Ice Coatings.
Yes, good stuff. I am in the process of shopping for film for another bike.
Oh, yeah?
Dipping a bike?
Yes. The last one turned out so awesome. We just had state championships in St. George over the weekend.
Just pimping.
And it was down there, and it turns heads everywhere it goes. Anyway.
I'm still going to get the flying pigs or whatever on that. Well, not on that one. I'm going to do it on my 35 Tacotini rifle once it's done. So I don't know if you know, I'm a friend and I are making our own cartridge for fun. So it's
like a Wildcat cartridge?
Yeah, Wildcat. So we're taking, it's kind of like a big 300 blackout. It's kind of like, I guess it would be
a big 300 blackout. Like,
yeah. Well, so
if only we had another 300 caliber cartridge, please tell me more.
So it's actually a 35 cal.
Okay.
So instead of 5.56 or 223 brass, we're using 308.
Okay.
And we're cutting it kind of in the same type of location.
So you
cut it, neck it up to 35 cal. So it's similar.
Are we trying to have a sub and a super version of this?
Well, sure. I mean, depending on the twist of your barrel, you know, because we're going to have some bolt actions done first.
Yeah.
And then you could do like whatever you want, right?
This kind of sounds like the Russians.
Like, well, no, I was going to say, it's like the 9x39.
That sounds exactly like
except it doesn't use all these varying bullet diameters. That's one of the problems with that cartridge, is that the Russians use one bullet diameter, and the U.S. gun makers, barrel makers and stuff, they're using a different diameter. Yeah. And so then it just makes it a mess because it's a huge difference in bullet size.
Well, the one thing is, like, when you read like those Russian things when they're trying to figure out how to, like, let's kill some sentries. How do you want to do this? It's like, let's take this gigantic rifle and put a suppressor on. I was like, still loud as F. Like, our ears kind of hurt, and they're like, okay. And then they made the 7.62 by 39 US, which is like some Russian thing for subsonic. So then they were trying like subsonic rounds out of an AK-47. They're like, okay, like we're getting there. And then they came up with the 9 by 39, and of course everything in every cartridge, 7.62 by 39, 545 by 39. So the length of the cartridge was already predetermined from the birth. But yeah, that's an interesting thing.
Have you played around with that cartridge at all?
I have not even touched one.
Yeah, don't. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I've grilled a lot of people on Warzone with an AS Val, but you know, I haven't touched one. I did handle an AS Val one time, so
yeah, there's too many problems with that cartridge. So, you know, because there's not really, I don't think there's any U.S. manufacturers making ammo for it.
No.
And with, like I said, with the different bullet diameters and barrel diameters, it's it's not worth it.
Well, the one thing too is, like, when people get something like that, they're like, they want it to be like 300 blackout, right? Or they're like, they want to have all this versatility in this one cartridge, and it's like, that thing was meant to kill sentries at 25 yards. Like, what? How much do you think we're packing out of this thing? It's like when you get guys with 300 blackout bolt action guns, like, that's a bad dude. He's planning to do bad things. You know, maybe for his country later on to hold his government accountable. At something, it was like, what are you shooting there? It's like, I got this friend Nate, and it's like, I got a suppressed. I'm working on a suppressed bolt action 300 load, and it's just like subsonic. So
yeah,
he's got several.
I would tell you, subsonic or bolt action. So I have some Thompson Center, like.
Yeah.
So the break action. Yeah. I have one of those and like a CVA break action. I first bought the break action because it was cheap, the CVA, and I figured I will blow up this gun while I'm experimenting with loads instead of my fancy AR-15. Little did I realize that gun would become one of my favorite guns ever to shoot.
Yeah.
And so then I made a pistol, like a break action pistol, and like a bolt. I have a couple bolt action rifles and 300 blackout. It is the funnest cartridge for if you cast bullets. Yeah. And if you like to experiment with bullets and powder and reloading, you can make some. I have this one load. It's like a small 135 grain cast bullet. Yeah. And you know, with a case like full of Trail Boss, then it's going about, you know, just about 1,000 or just under 1,000 feet per second. Like, it's my bunny fart load. Yeah. It's just so quiet. I could shoot one in here.
You wonder when people made Trail Boss, like, they never envisioned, like, the suppressor version of it.
High tech.
Like, what is it? This is the slowest powder we freaking have. Like, you can...
Fast. It's fast.
Well, Trail Boss, what's the super slow? What's the one that the super slow? Anyways, yeah. But like you have something like Trail Boss or whatever, and you're just like, there's a lot of people who made a bunch of powders, not expecting for everyone to be like, thank God it's 968 feet per second.
Yeah. Well, initially it was made for like the cowboy action guys so that they could slow their cartridges down and still have like it's so bulky of a powder.
That has case volume.
Yes, because it's little donuts of happiness, you know, and these flakes have holes in them. And so they don't even sell it in 1 pound bottles. It's like ounces. I think it's like 14 ounces. I don't know, 12 ounce.
Yeah, it's like when you're having like a friend, like he's trying to like load. I have a friend, he's loading revolver cartridges, and like he's not getting reliable ignition because he's not filling up enough of the case with something. Then you have something like Trail Boss.
Just load it to the base of the bullet.
Just stack it.
That's your max load, and it's
just
totally
like when you're watching those third world ammunition manufacturing videos on Instagram, and they're just like, scoop the cartridge full of powder, put that 123 7.62 cartridge, slam it down, looks good. Next one, do it. We should all be so lucky to have a powder that works that well.
Yeah.
So Black Ice Coatings.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, what do you want? We pimped them. Then check them out. Check them out, Black Ice.
Next, we have Utah Air Guns. Some of our favorite stuff over at Utah Air Guns, UtahAirGuns.com.
I'm avoiding them because I've spent too much money there lately. Okay, so have you ever shot one of those?
I've never shot an air gun.
Oh, right. Man.
So
That's why you don't have one.
Yeah. Think about shooting flies at, like, I don't know, 35 yards.
Yeah.
Like, easily. That's what some of these fancy ones can do.
You know, the one thing that's always impressed me about air guns is, like, you sit there and look at it, it's like, all right, it's powerful enough. It's powerful enough to do some things. And then it's just like, oh, and it's pretty quiet. You're like, okay. Yeah. They're pretty damn accurate. You're just like, I
know what you're thinking.
Well, I'm just like sitting there.
Pellets for them. You can get ammo.
Yeah, it's like, what do you need? Like
no primers, no problem.
You better, like, just... When you say your prayers tonight, just thank God that, like, a lot of people who are up to bad things haven't discovered air guns. So there's a good
promo.
There's a good plug. Anyway, sorry to ruin you guys. You could go through your thing. Yeah.
Use coupon code AirCandy when you check out at Utah Air Guns. You'll get free shipping and turret stickers.
Nice.
So go check them out. Mag holder and concealment solutions. Let's just knock everybody out so we don't have to bug anybody.
Holy smokes, we can just sell their products. You don't got to beat them.
Mag holder, check them out at magholder.com. That's what I use. I make my own mag carriers and I use theirs. It's good stuff. Check them out. Use the code. Get in the van. I have candy.
Nice. I'm glad that what was the one that would get you? Mark used to have one back in the day.
How deep is your love?
How deep is your love would get you 11% instead of 10%. I believed it was used like once.
I don't know. It's still an active code.
Is it still? Yeah. Use code How Deep Is Your Love and save 11% off of mag holders.
Go check out Mag Holder at magholder.com. Concealment solutions. Hopefully, I've built it into something that's kind of become a one-stop holster shop. Custom stuff you can get. I don't like to be like everybody else, and I think my customers.
Then why do you have so many 1022s?
They're all different.
I don't even own a 1022.
Oh.
I mean, I own a 2245, the one. I gotta say, one of my favorite holsters of all time is an ASP 3.1, and so I have two of those. I use them with a PX4 Compact and with a Bursa BP9cc for when I'm carrying them shorts light in the summer. When I'm rolling light.
Nice.
Oh, hey, I was going to say, I got some feedback from a relative. I can't say who it is.
Okay.
But they have recently had, like, possums come into town. And, like, they're not native for where that location is. Like, they should not be there. But all of a sudden, this relative was out by the chickens and heard a commotion. There was a possum in the chicken coop.
So did this relative?
Send him to my house.
So this relative used that holster with, the big long drop leg that has a 22 pistol with a green laser on top of the top rail.
Yeah.
And then the silencer.
This is the suppressed one.
Yeah, so it's the farm take care of business gun.
Nice.
I feel like I quietly walked into a podcast that's about, like, small game hunting, but it's really like a secret assassin. It's just like, what's he got? He's got, like, a green tipped, red dotted suppressed 22. What's he doing? He's just killing stuff around his house. Like, all right. It's like there's a bunch of, like, just bad dudes rolling around listening to this show.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can order a custom holster drop leg for some crazy stuff.
Options. So I have people that come in the shop and they're like, well, do you have any other colors or patterns? And I have stuff hanging on the wall. Yep, right there. And they go, oh. And they're there for like 15 minutes trying to decide which color or which pattern. So if anything, I have too many options.
I know. I always tell him black, and then he gets mad.
Well, that's what I do now. It's like I
just want black.
I order a holster.
You can't just have black. Black.
It's like, which one do you want? I was like, I want the most basic bitch one you got. Was that one black? What does it come with? Just the basic clause, like, yeah, I'll take it. All right, good. All right, just ship it. That's what I want. I want nothing to interfere with the order or make it take longer. I've had a heck of a year with custom orders this year.
Well, that's the advantage you have with me is it doesn't take any longer.
Doesn't take any longer.
Not usually. Every now and then I might get low on something, and you might have to wait a little longer to for reorders to come in.
Yeah,
but
thanks, Joe Biden. Supply chain, come on, buddy.
I think I'm going to get one of those Let's Go Brandon t-shirts.
I'm going to get tattooed in Old English on my back. It's a t-shirt. It's like I'm in full support.
Yeah.
Anyway, use the code Show Me the Candy. Did you notice the theme here?
Yeah.
Show Me the Candy. It'll save you 15%, and I throw swag in for you. You get some
nice
stickers.
15%.
Yeah. Anyway, we are going to bypass some listener feedback.
You guys
this
got
week.
too gabby. It was too long.
But let's jump into what we did with guns.
All right.
Who wants to go first?
Let's have you go first. You're usually shortest.
Was that a short joke?
Yeah, it was. Maybe.
Yeah, I've been busy. I've been riding bikes in St. George all week, so I didn't get a whole lot done. But you will be happy to know that the Great Sparrow War of 2021 is still going on.
Dude, you gotta throw them in your freezer for Mark.
My wife won't let me. I tried.
What, we were shooting sparrows? Or what?
I got sparrows that are eating my chicken feed. And there's I want to say, originally I said there's 50 of them. Well, I have a tally, and I think I'm up to 23 or so that I've removed.
How good's the feed?
And it doesn't look like any are gone.
Huh.
So
you should bring them over. I have a Ziploc baggie. I'm starting to build a collection.
Oh, yeah?
Mark. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you do? Oh, is this
He has a hawk.
For his
yeah.
Yes.
He has his
falconry stuff. Yeah.
He has a new hawk.
He has a new hawk.
Yeah.
I remember walking into his house one time and just this gigantic bird in the corner. I was like, all right, this is how we're rolling. Let's get some guns together, Mark. Let's get on out of here.
Yeah. Anyway, I have not done anything significant this week.
All right. Well, this is not one of my favorite guns, but I thought I would bring it over. So, a few years ago, people were all about the AREX 01, which is kind of a SIG 226, 229 clone. Yeah. And it had this amazing reliability. Military Arms Channel was doing it. And I was surfing a website on my lunch like I'm wont to do, and I found a website, and I don't know if you guys are okay with swearing on the thing, but we'll bleep it out later. The website is literally called tacticalshit.com. And so they had one of these Rex 01 tactical compacts, which is a 229, SIG 229 size gun, and they had it there for $550, which is normally they're $700. And I was like, I'm doing this right now. It's listen, Tom, you'll buy 2,000 primers from Brownells and pay $180. Your sensibilities are shot. Just buy the thing. And so I got it, and I put a Holosun 507 C on it. And I have not shot it yet. I have completely detail stripped it, and the parts where they ventured away from the SIG are 50-50 success versus not success. But yeah, it is a very robustly and well-finished and well-built pistol, I'll say that. The one thing is, most Eastern European guns, the gun comes incredibly overspringed. So it's a 15-round standard-sized magazine. They give you one 15 and one 17-round. They put one of these annoying slide-up boots on the 17-round to make it flush fit. Think of Ruger SR9 or something back in the day, or some of the MPs where they put the slide-on boot. So when you grab to reload it, it's halfway up the magazine, so it's no good. But
I noticed that they threaded it the correct way.
What, half by 28?
Yes.
Well, I would actually prefer the left-hand metric. Then you get the little counter instead of going with the bullet rifling, so if you got a 1 in 10 right-hand twist.
Yeah, it depends on what suppressor you have, because sometimes you're tightening it and then
on the booster,
and then it loosens on the threads.
You can do this. I don't have a suppressor yet. I constantly think about buying a 45 caliber suppressor, and then all my friends talk me into get a 30 cal suppressor. And then by the time I have all enough money, I'm like, let's buy another 9mm handgun because you only have 22 of them. So
yeah.
I got it. So one of the interesting things that they do is they put a manual safety on that bad boy, but it's absolutely worthless because you can't turn it on and turn it off, but it's a double action pistol anyway. So you're just going to run like that. So the slide stop and the decocker are this. The decocker is the slide stop and the decocker. So and it's kind of stiff because they use an L shape, so instead of having direct pressure against the slide, it has to go down and push an L shape to drop the slide. And then after it's dropped, you can then, the decocker will then reset and then become the decocker.
Wow.
So it is a very interesting way, and then when you take it apart, you're like, why? Why would you do this?
Is it just me, or is that trigger guard ginormous?
It's about 20% larger. So
it's for all the guys with fat fingers.
It is an Eastern Bloc gun.
This is what happened. So like
that's ginormous.
It's crazy.
I mean,
I'm 30.
It just looks goofy on there.
It's a big trigger guard, and like if you have gloves on, if you ever shot with like gloves on, like don't, because not really worth it unless it's really cold and you're really beating up your hands. But large trigger guards aren't really a big deal because you kind of don't miss it.
The safety works.
Yes, it does work.
It goes up.
So basically what happened
and it
was...
fire when I pull the trigger.
So like as I've gotten like 38 years old, like I'm just super nostalgic for like all 90s guns. So I'm like, listen, like I just want to have Beretta 92s, HK USPs, SIGs. It's like, listen, that's what I kind of want. And so it kind of has like the trigger guard size of a USP, and then the rest of it's pretty 226, and it has an absolutely horrendous double action pole.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so it's just like
the single action's not bad.
No, the single action
it's not the best I've felt.
It doesn't really have any creep, but it does. It breaks pretty decent. The double, like, how do you make a gun? So there's this old story about, like, remember the FNX 45?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
it's gigantic,
huge.
Yeah.
And they're like, how'd you get 15 rounds in the magazine? It's like, we made the grip longer. It's like, how did you make it so soft shooting? It's like, it's 45 and there's a weight in the front of the gun.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of miracles. And it's like, how do you make a gun very reliable? It's like, oh, they put a 22 or 24 pound hammer spring in the gun, so the double action is horrendous. And so when it's cocked, it's at least decent in single action. But we'll go out, we'll shoot it. People say they group really well, so you have it. You can decock it. And
so is this new? Like
this is picked it up on Friday. They did, however, ship it to me with a stripped Allen head screw on the cover plate. And so I get my gun, and the first thing I want to do is like, you get an optics ready gun. Like, what's the first thing you want to do?
Throw an optic on.
You want to throw an optic, and this thing is stripped, and I'm just like, it's like, babe, our Dune tickets are going to start, and I'm like, I got it. Like, babe, we need to go. It's like, I got it. And like, I'm trying to get this thing done. And so like, I'm thinking of like, after I watch Dune and go to the work the next day, and then I like, all right, whatever. It's like, we're going to do this for real. So I get the drill out, and I get the old screw extractors, the reverse thread, and I pull that out, and then I send them like, just to let you guys know, I got the screw out. Send me a new one, and for the love of all things holy, please use Torx next time. So,
were they like?
They're
flat?
super. They're just countersunk Allen head, like 2.5 millimeter
and
Allen
the guy
heads.
that put it in was using the same Allen wrench he's used for the last 10 years.
They're made in Slovenia, and Global Ordnance out of Florida imports them. So like, somebody had like a complaint to Global Ordnance. They're like, look, these things are coming out on me. Like, heaven forbid someone put Loctite 242 on it. And so they call Slovenia, and they're like, who did that gun? I was like, Alex. He's like, yeah. He's like, all your gun's threads are coming out. And so he's like, all right. And so he's just like cranks them down. It's like, good. You pull it till it moves on its own, and then you're good. So that's the initial review out of not firing a shot out of the ARX, what is it, 01.
Do you like the 229s, 226s?
I had a 220 at one time, and I had a West German 226, which I regret selling.
I have a West German 226.
Did you get it from a man named Jason?
I am a man named Jason.
No. Last name, no.
It was a police buyback that I picked up at
discount gun. And yes, I bought one of the same ones and then sold it to another guy. And then he refinished it, and it looked a whole lot better.
I've refinished it. It's got in fact, you helped put the short reset trigger in it.
That's right, and I did it for your brother as well.
Yeah.
Son of a... that was my gun. Give it back. But yeah,
it's a sweet gun. I really like it.
They're really nice guns. They just, honestly, if you're going to get a double action 9mm pistol, the Beretta 92 is, if you're looking at something like the Beretta 92 is far superior than the SIG. And so... And
why do you say that?
Reliability, and the triggers on the Berettas can be tuned a lot better than they can on the SIGs.
Okay.
It's really how the hammer and sear and trigger bar geometry works, where the Beretta will always... Beretta double action, the double action's long, and that's kind of a good thing because it allows you to steer the sights onto target while you're pulling it. So a lot of the guns like the SIG and like this AREX, so it has this very heavy like stacking period, and then it's just like, we're free, and then it like breaks. And so it's like a lot of like a lot of like build up, release.
Yeah.
And the Beretta is like building up all the way through the trigger, and then when it gets to the back, it releases. And the other nice thing about the Beretta is where the double action releases, the single action releases. So as far as like a competitive shooting, getting good with the gun, it's a little bit better.
More consistent.
And the Beretta 92, for what people consider its faults, it's everything comes out of the gun and everything feeds straight into the gun. And out of my experience with the 92s in competition, I've had one problem with Beretta 92s. And that was because I got some Hogue rubber grips and I screwed the screws in too tight. And so the magazine was like not seating all the way. And so it was causing some sort of like feeding issues. But once you figure that out.
Were they the Hogue ones with the finger grooves, or was it?
No, it was. So I had a Beretta 92 Vertec, which Carl then traded me for his TRP. And I was thinking about bringing his TRP tonight because I did some work on that Beretta. And so he's like, I'll trade you my TRP for it. I was like, I can do Beretta work anytime I get a Beretta. Like, yeah, take it. So the Vertec has a very flat grip, and it doesn't. That little hump on the back of the grip actually keeps your hand higher, especially when you're reloading the gun and then coming back up on target. A very flat backstrap on like a custom 1911, your hand will kind of slip lower. And so like they came out with that M9A3, and the M9A3 had like came in a Vertec and they came with a humped back. And so I bought the humped back Hogue grip. It's just like everyone gets suckered in by a Hogue grip every once in a while, and so I did that.
I never have.
I like them.
I got grips. Tiny hands, so I don't like them.
Yeah, I got bigger hands.
The one thing that Hogue grips always get you is like you want to customize. It's like when you get your first gun and you want to customize your first gun, and it's just like, guess what? You spent all your money on buying that first gun, but you would like to customize it. And it's just like, how much is that? It's $20. Is it a different color? Yeah, it's a different color. Let's get that. And so Hogue does that. So just don't screw them in too tight, and you'll be all dandy. So
nice.
That's what I did.
Awesome. Taco, you're up.
All right, I'll try and keep mine like short. But so my son Noah, he is doing a pretty freaking awesome science project for school.
Okay.
And so we've spent the last couple of days building fake walls. So cutting 2x4s and then putting sheetrock on both sides.
Because Biden won't do it anymore.
Yeah. So anyways, we have 12 fake walls built. And what we were talking about, he wanted to know what would be the ideal home defense cartridge.
Right.
And, obviously we don't have unlimited 2x4s with the prices they are now, and sheetrock is not cheap anymore either.
Right.
So we built the 12 walls, and hopefully we can
get to the checkout at Home Depot and Taco's like, it ain't my project.
Actually, there's a guy, this guy who helped us, and shout out to that guy. He was awesome. But I saw one that was like kind of ugly, sheetrock that was ugly. I was like, hey, this one has like, issues. Like, is it any cheaper than the others? And he's like, oh yeah, that's like 70% off. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Do you have any more ugly ones just like that?
Yeah.
And he just looked at me funny. I was like, yeah, we're doing a science project. And he's like, well, what are you doing? It's like, we're going to test self-defense or home defense cartridges and shoot them through fake walls.
Yeah.
To see how many walls they go through, to see what would be safer to use in a house,
So now my question is, how far apart are your walls going to be?
We are going to
be a true test. They have to be like 8 to 10 feet apart.
Well,
realistically.
Here's the thing: you got that, and you got angles and stuff.
Yeah, and
it's not going to be the exact thing because where you shoot is going to be different in a house, anyways.
Yeah.
And more than likely, you're going to hit a 2x4 at some point.
Yeah.
But
well, the one thing too is like it's kind of like ballistic shell, and not so much that it is. You're really looking at drywall as a medium, not so much as a realistic experience. So if you put that medium all together, it's like if it was stacked and nothing interfered and you didn't hit a 2x4, like how many of those things would you go through?
Right. Yeah,
and the question is how are you going to insulate it? That's
well, these are interior walls.
Interior walls,
so they don't have insulation.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but so this is. I mean, I'm actually really stoked to do this.
Well, you and I talked about doing this years ago with the
frangible,
223 frangible, varmint grenades.
To see what they do.
We still need to do that.
Well, and the one thing too is like even with the air guns, like what's a heavy pill that you can put out of an air gun?
A 50 cal.
Like how heavy though?
Like 900 no, like 650
he
grams.
He cast a 50 cal bullet that one of their customers killed a hippo with.
Dear God.
Yeah.
What are these things?
So, yeah.
Yeah, they go crazy.
That would be an interesting experiment.
That will just keep going through walls. Like,
but how many? The nice thing is you get a piece of drywall. It's not like you need a whole sheet of wall. Like you need, 20% of one and then 20% of another one. And then you build like 10 walls and, you got to kind of shoot and spirit apart. But that would be interesting to see how, like, if you're in hippo territory, like, are you in like not that we would drag one out of the water, but like eventually we're going to get into blue whale territory and we want to see what does it.
Yeah. So, anyways, it'll be interesting. So he was supposed to do the background research, and he's like, I can't find the answers of what people, and I don't know the answers.
I think Gun Talk Media, Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, like on a YouTube video back in the day, they did it. So that's something that you could probably pull up and replicate, kind of how they set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember some of the stuff from that one, but I couldn't be quoted exactly on that. But yeah, that would be very interesting to see what you can get. But of course,
I'm curious to see like how long the bullets like stay straight, like. Yeah, punching round holes before, like a 5.56 or 223. I think that one, it hits that first one. Is it going to just start?
It's going to start tumbling.
The interesting too is like you would have something like because it's like the one thing is like experiments like this is ammunition is so wide and varied even within a caliber. Yeah. So you have like a 45 ACP. It's like you have 185 grain like. Okay, it's like, well, is it 185 grain like round nose, or is it 185 grain like copper bullet? Mm-hmm. Like copper hollow point, like those guys were trying to, not like the Mark 23 was built around. And then you have like 230 grain ball moving at 800. Like, it would be very interesting to see what you would get out of like a defensive 124
the different
grain,
bullet weights,
and then like
within a caliber.
Yeah, like here's some white box NATO stuff, and here's some 124 grain hollow point, and just kind of see.
So are you going to test the difference between ball ammo and self-defense?
This is ammo, it's going to be since it's self-defense in a home or home defense, then ammo? It's going to be some 9mm. I can't remember if they're critical defense or like SIG. Okay. Yeah. It's going to be hollow point self-defense ammo. So it's going to be
factory stuff too.
Yes, factory. Okay. And then the 5.56 is just going to be ball. Like 55 grain, full metal jacket. Hey, that's what
you come in my house, you're getting hit with ball too out of AR-15.
Well, I mean it that stuff dumps its energy.
This ain't LA County, everybody. We're not shooting you with some critical defense stuff.
What are the predictions? What do you think is going to be the safest as far as...
I think that the 5.56 or 223 is going to be the safest inside a house.
That's what I think, too.
The lightest projectable will probably be the best.
And it's going to dump its energy the fastest. It's going to lose stability, and
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see the results of that. That'll be cool.
Yeah, I might do a video on it. I don't know. I don't want to like take over his project, but
you're already footing the bill. Like let's go all the way.
Yeah, let's try and get some of that money back from that drywall.
This is called something called content, son.
He didn't get any pushback from the school on the subject.
I don't know. Yeah, he goes to a charter school. So
okay.
They're a little bit more lenient and
a little more open-minded.
My daughter, she did. We do all kinds of crazy science. Yeah. Like, I think she did velocities of a 55 grain 223 bullet. Like, no. She did how much, like a ratio of cornstarch to water. What stops the bullet fastest?
Oh.
And so we had these tubes full of like different mixtures of cornstarch and water. Dude, I'll tell you. That stuff is hard to dig bullets out of because you start putting your fingers in and it hardens.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you have to just go super slow and let your fingers like fall to the bottom. Anyways, that was a fun one. It was really messy. But, yeah.
So you guys running around the apocalypse with cornstarch wrapped around.
Hey. Cornstarch vest.
Hey, it's a level 3, okay? It ain't stopping M855, but it's doing a good job.
No, we'll just take those the steel plates I got, the steel targets, and just like put straps through the different holes, and then put one in front, one in back.
Yeah, there's always an interesting thing about the conversation about spalling. And then I was looking for this thing, and this company, Premier Body Armor, they actually produce these now Kevlar spall protectors that go on top of the plate inside the carrier, which will stop like 5 or 6 rounds of spall. So if you're if you're like don't have the money for ceramics, get one of those and put in the spall protector over it. does actually do a pretty good job if you're worried about swelling.
Yeah, so then you don't get
bullet
like fragments in your eyeballs.
Yeah, like $45 or something like that. So you put it on the front plate, get another paycheck, you can put it on the back if you don't want to get fragmentation in the back of your head.
Yeah. Right. So I did some more 308 loading for my semi-autos. Just kind of some more junky bullets, I'd say. I had this bin of bullets that were, I think they're the 147 pulled bullets. They got little marks on them and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So I call those ghetto loads.
Yeah, so I got my ghetto loads loaded for...
One of those days I'm going to sort them and I'm going to actually shoot them. Yeah. But until then, it's just like a 35-pound bag of like pulled like range pickups, and you're just like, I'll get to it. I'll get to it.
I mean, I figure... So I built this AR-10 pistol.
Yeah.
And I actually like shooting it more than it's a pointless gun, right? AR-10 pistol, like 308.
I think it's more sensible than having a 5.56 and a 10-inch barrel.
Well, your ballistics, I mean, you're almost getting to the point where you should just do supersonic 300 blackout.
Yeah.
With the 308 case.
But if you're like looking at it, it's like, all right, which one's going to have more muzzle energy, this one or the
boom.
Like you see videos of people shooting like bank teller glass with like M855 out of a 10-inch barrel, and it's like, that's 2,400 feet per second. It's like, give me a break. It's like, I'll take the freaking 18.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the big drop off, and like with the bigger, heavier caliber bullets seem to do better out of the shorter barrels. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I did do this test on this like is like thick plexiglass, like the bank teller, air quotes, bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
And we shot, 9mm, 40, 5.56, 300 blackout. And then at the end, I took the 45-70 and shot it, and it just exploded, into pieces. So, yeah, the 5.56, it smashes and then
just stops.
It kind of stops. I mean, a bullet fragment might go through, but yeah.
Well, the one thing is, like, the more you get into AR-15s and you read about it, you quickly become the old 20-inch M16 guy. You're just like, no, this is what you need. It's just like, Gramps, that thing doesn't look cool. You're just like, no, baby, this is the way this thing was meant to live. 20 inches, 3,300 feet per second. Let's send it.
Yeah, I have an FAL and what is it? A Vepr, so like an AK 308.
Yeah.
And so it's like...
The Vepr Hunter or like the AK style?
So it's AK style, but there's a limited importation of square cut receivers on the back, so it takes AK furniture instead of that slant cut receiver.
Yeah.
So I got one of those in 7.62 by 54R and one in 308.
Yeah.
And,
those are the ways.
It's pretty sweet.
Eventually, I'm going to pull the trigger on a G3 because I just want a G3.
Yeah.
It's like, which one kicks the most? The G3. Which one's like kind of heavy? Like, get the G3.
But you got to feed those those older style battle rifles, and you don't want to feed them like real good stuff. So those 147 pulled bullets, those are just fine.
That's the good thing about range pickup ammo. It already comes with a primer. Pull it, put your own ammo in it, put it back in, send it.
Yeah, so then the other thing I got this week was the AKV in 9mm. It is a pistol.
Yeah.
Looks just like a handgun.
Yeah, it's exactly. And that brace looks like it's fantastic to use wrapped around your arm.
Yeah, it's nice and it's one of those triangle braces with the tiny strap on the bottom.
Trying to mimic the wire kind of stock.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've jumped the shark with the braces, and thank God we have. But yeah, no, I've looked at these for a while.
Threaded half by 28. So
yeah, they got that. They fixed the problems that they had with them originally with them putting live ammo behind the bolt. Not nice.
What?
Yeah, so they ended up.
This is like the new, because I know that they've had a couple generation
the newer ones are bulletproof, but the stroke on the used to be a little bit longer, and they didn't have, and so like ammunition would come up and then just kind of like get lost back there, and so it kind of bind up the gun. You'd have to take them apart. But as far as this, it's like there's like the subguns. It's like it comes with a curved mag from the factory. Fantastic. That Strybog stuff. They came out with 3 different magazines to get that damn thing to work. You know, I ended it making it a curved magazine like every other damn submachine gun. It's like it's a tapered case. Live life. So CZ magazines. Yeah. You gotta love that. 35 round magazines, dirt cheap. bolt hold open device on an AK.
Yeah, so these mags were only like $15, $17.
Wow.
Yeah, they're cheap. They're great.
Yeah, so
these ones use the same. It's like they're made. These ones are made by Palmetto, right?
Yeah.
But they're compatible with the CZ
Scorpion.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool that they did that. I was wondering if they do the SIG, the MPX mags, or
I honestly don't think you would like.
But these ones were the better choice.
Scorpion mags are definitely probably the standard that all of them are judged by now. And the other thing is like you can buy these from CZ in 20-round configurations, 30-round configurations. And the greatest thing ever is when Magpul started making magazines, and when Magpul makes a magazine for your gun,
buy it.
It is just like, thank you. What is it, $12? I'll take 10.
Yeah.
And so you get them. So it's like...
How do you like that, the nice sharp edge on the magwell?
Like this? The sharp corners?
Yeah, like if you grip it like you're holding the magwell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like a vertical grip or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
so like a
pretty nice and
SAS Deathlock grip.
Well, you've got a Dremel tool.
Yeah.
Well, I would say you have to live with it because you bought a 9mm AK from Palmetto State Armory. So whatever bites you is like you're into it. But these were so awesome when they came out. They were like $6.99. Yeah, and then they just kept They're just so popular.
Well, they can't sell them, or they can't keep them in stock. Yeah, like this, I got the email, and then I hurried and bought it because
I would buy one of these. Like if you had a first time like sub gun, I'd buy these over like an MP5. Hold open device, better magazines, pretty cheap to run.
The MP5 has like kind of the classic history and like all that stuff, and
dudes in the dirt.
Yeah.
Like 1980s SAS style with the flashlight on top. That's what the MP5 comes with it.
But
history, baby.
In semi-auto, I just think there's better guns cheaper now. Like, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there is. There's no question about it. It's like,
this one deserves a Form 1. So if I can figure out the ATF website, then I might do a...
Form 1, he's kind of an interesting now with how hard and how great a quality the pistol braces are, and then you don't really have paperwork. So it's like, those braces for your arms that they find themselves on your shoulder.
Yeah, so I have...
It's a telescoping arm brace? Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I have. I've got the SBA 4.
Okay.
That one, that's a legit arm brace.
Yes.
So,
for all the terrible products SIG has put out, like, God bless them for that one. They're like, hey, we'll send you guns that you have to beta test as the customer, but hey, we did pioneer the arm brace, and you're like, you're right, kids. You did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So anyways, that's what I did with guns, plus some other stuff, but yeah.
Nice. Should we do a news story real quick?
Yeah,
sure.
Let's do it.
I got all the time in the world.
And now... the news. An intruder was shot and killed by a homeowner after deputies said he broke into the same house twice in 2 days.
That's asking for it.
Yeah. Just after midnight.
What states is this in?
This is in Calaveras County, California.
Ooh. So, like, I wonder if this homeowner had a gun before because he didn't go out and buy one because he has the...
Exactly.
So he's just like, listen, like, Tim, we've been neighbors for 15 effing years. Like, I got broken into. Like, I see the NRA sticker, I just need a gun. And then you get a gun in the range strip, and it's just like, he's come again. It's like, different story.
So just after midnight on Sunday, deputies responded to a home in the 700 block, to report of a forced entry. When deputies arrived, 2 men in the front of the home said that an unknown man, later identified as this guy, had kicked down the front door and began assaulting them. One of the men then told deputies that he had shot the intruder in self-defense. The intruder was declared dead at the scene. During the investigation, deputies found that the intruder had been arrested the day before for breaking into the same home.
Hold on a second. Jason. I know that California is only arresting and releasing their people on the same day. But you're telling this is just a total coincidence that these criminals are being arrested and then let out again.
Yeah.
But he
Broke into, but it gets better. Officials said that the people living inside the home had recently bought it through a real estate company, and while moving, the two residents found the intruder had broken into the home through a side door. The intruder was the son of the former owner of the home. The new owners of the home called 911, but the intruder had left before deputies arrived, but told the new owners he intended to return to the home.
No, thank you. He's conquering it back.
Yeah.
No sign of a drug problem from this guy before, right?
He was later arrested by patrol deputies on illegal entry, possession of meth, and vandalism charges.
What?
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
While being taken to jail, he told the deputy that he believed the home was still his property and he planned on going back. So he told the new owners, I'm coming back. He tells the arresting officer, I'm going back. He's got meth on him.
Yeah, well,
he's lo and behold,
breaking and entering.
The next day,
nothing
back.
gives you the ambition to conquer like meth.
Yeah. The patrol deputy submitted an application to get the intruder's bail increased due to the statements he was making on returning to the home, but was ultimately denied by the judge because of the misdemeanor arrest charges. The new residents of the home were not arrested or cited. The investigation is ongoing.
Oh, well.
Did they shoot him with a Garand?
It didn't say what they shot him with.
It hits the Tesla behind him. He's like, mother ever.
It goes through the Tesla and then...
It goes through the windshield and hits that big old screen in the middle. There's like, damn it.
Anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean... I know you had to go digging through the internet to find such a rare and story in California. Meth head gets released, comes back, gets shot. It's like, well, at least, like, the loss of a human life is a tragic thing for everybody.
Sure.
Yeah,
most of it.
And then, but all things end well there on that one. So.
Okay, instead of Taco's top 5, today we're doing Tommy's top 5.
Hot dang.
What have you brought for us?
So I brought a couple things. Well, it's kind of like we didn't know what to talk about, like accessories or talk about guns.
Right.
But so like I have an assortment since the last time if you guys haven't listened to the Paracast, check it out. New episodes every Monday. But we've been kind of going through some stuff, and so the last time I've seen these guys, I have some things that I like.
It's been a while.
So these are your top 5 favorite handguns, or
and just accessories for handguns.
Top 5 things you like.
Tom's top 5
stuff.
All right.
One of the things that I like. This is just in the belt. Magpul 21 round magazines for Glocks. Once again, fantastic.
Do they do 45s yet, or
Why?
10 millimeters?
Why?
Because
who's doing this? I know. I got a gigantic Barrett 50 cal air gun over here. So this is a sponsor of the show. This guy came out and reached out to us. This is Jason Bunderson up in Idaho, and this is a Dominate Defense competition belt. And so what's kind of neat about it is that it is an inner and outer belt. So you have Velcro hook and loop. So you have, whatever it is. This is the hook. No, this is the loop side. And then the outer belt has the hook. And so it goes on like most other competition belts, but the difference is on his belt is that he has a inner belt. He also makes a carry belt that actually gives and will push in on itself, so that when you actually put on the outer belt, it has a ratcheting system that you can use to tighten the belt. So if you're about ready to shoot a stage, you crank it down, you get it absolutely perfectly tight, it holds onto you perfectly, and then when you're done and you're walking around drinking Dr. Peppers and complaining about the last stage shot, you can loosen it up, and
that sounds like the perfect belt for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
What happens is you start getting these inner and outer belts, and they're really just used for competition or like for a lot of the police officers have turned to them for duty. But what you find is that the inner belts are like Velcro, and they're pretty minimal, and they're just rigid enough to hold like a concealed carry piece. And so you end up wearing these inner belts all the time, so you just look like more of a bum. Like I started putting them on my church pants, and I was like sometime you got to stop yourself. It's like I just sold my kid's lawnmower for meth, and then you're just like, I got to stop now. I got to stop. So,
how much does a belt like that cost?
So the whole setup is about $150.
Okay.
So it's like most things that happen in guns is you buy
something too cheap.
You buy you go especially with belts is you go buy the Shooter's Connection one, and then you buy the Double Alpha one, and then you get the Safariland ELS system, or you get another custom rig, and then you just go all in and buy the most top of the line thing because you're already spending tons of money lighting it on fire in your kid's future, and you could have paid off your mortgage 10 years ago. You didn't. So it's kind of one of those investments, but it's one of those things that you buy and you love forever. Okay. Second thing I got, my wife got me this at the beginning of the year because I was crying about how bad it was not shooting anymore. And she bought me an HK 45, full size.
Wait, you don't like 45s?
No. I don't need a 45 with a 22 round magazine. So no, I don't need that.
I need one for my AR 45.
Yeah.
And so she also ordered me this custom leather holster. I think they're out of Slovenia. It's called Falco. And so it takes about 8 to 10. Well, now they say they have a 4-week lead time, but it's 8 to 10 weeks. And I wanted an appendix carry piece for an HK45 because when it's winter and I want to roll effing heavy, I want to roll heavy. And so it's a leather holster, and it has a magazine attached to it, kind of like a T-Rex arm sidecar or a Tier 1 concealment type of system, but it's all leather. And so you can actually somewhat conceal an HK45. The things that are nice about it, I had them emboss HK45 on the front, and then on the back I had them emboss Thomas H. Nelson on the back, so Thomas THN on the back. So it actually, it's not the compact, it's the full-size HK45, but you can actually concealed carry it. And one of the things I found interesting is I have not seen a steel belt clip like that anywhere this side of the Atlantic. Jason, try to peel that belt clip.
Oh my gosh!
That is that's legitimate spring steel.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
I don't know how you don't split your finger open.
I don't know how they got. Dude, it hurts.
Yeah.
It's you look at one of those and you're I have holsters with a spring clip like that, and then you go grab that thing and it's just I don't know how they got in, but the workmanship was great. It was $110.
Yeah. And
the only complaint is the leather magazine pouch doesn't seem to ever want to give. Put it in the freezer with a Ziploc bag, put oil on it. It always has this tension that's too tight to actually draw from it, but it is... It is probably one of my favorite pieces, and I once shot at 20 yards from a rest a 1.2-inch 5-shot group out of that gun. It is a fantastic piece of machinery. That's handgun number 22 or whatever. But if you're starting off buying a handgun and you have the money and the willingness to pay $40 or $50 for a magazine, HK is not a bad way to go. HK is just a bad way to go when you're on gun 10 and you're used to not paying $50 for a magazine.
So. Yeah, one interesting thing about the design of this is they have a little groove machined towards the end of the barrel where they put an O-ring, and that helps center the...
It centers the slide. Mm-hmm. It centers the slide in the barrel on lockup, so you get
a tighter lockup.
Yeah, and they send you 4 of them, and they're every 5,000 rounds you're supposed to change it. If you have the money to shoot 5,000 rounds at 45, especially in this time that we're living in, thank you, God bless you. But I put 1,000 rounds through it, and I love it. It is great. I got a TRP as well, but there's nothing like pulling out an HK, because you're even though the 1911 probably costs more, it's still a good flex. You're let me pull out my HK and do this right. So there you go. So HK 45 with the Falco custom leather holster. It's a pretty good setup.
I used to have one of those, the HK 45s, but somebody offered me more money than I paid for it, and I was okay.
I had an HK USP Tactical in 45, and then someone traded me a Doug Koenig Smith & Wesson 1911 for it, and I was this is a great 1911. And you look at MSRPs, and it's one of those guns you miss. I miss that, and I miss my Kimber BP 10-2 that was my...
Have you played around with any CZ guns?
Yes.
The polymer ones? The metal
PO7,
ones?
I had a CZ75B Omega, and my friend Robert has PO7, PO9, 4 Shadows, dot cut, all that stuff, and so... I've gotten a lot of osmosis from him. I'm a much bigger fan of... the CZ variants are very good guns, and I like them, but I'm a much bigger fan of all the other double actions instead of those.
Okay.
So they are great guns. They are accurate guns. They are generally sized better than concealed carry than like the SIG or the HK products. I just cannot get into them. Yeah, I like a gun with a decocker. And like what I mean by a decocker is like it actually decocks the pistol and doesn't ruin the trigger pull. And the CZ75 is just they can't make that jump yet.
Yeah, I have the CZ97.
Okay.
So in 45 ACP.
Yes.
Dude, that thing, awesome. I think it was one of the older ones. It's like a nice blued color and stuff. And it was one of those pawn shop finds where it had a broken barrel bushing.
Yeah.
And it didn't have a magazine.
Yeah.
But the gun was like immaculate, right? Besides those two things, and I think I paid like $350 for it.
Jeez.
And just ordered off of CZ's website. Just got a barrel bushing, brand new one, and like the magazines are cheap. I got a bunch of mags.
You just buy a bunch. Well, that's one thing too. Is like if you get a CZ75, it's like how much are the magazines? Like $14.
Yeah.
From the factory. And then you got the Met Guard to make you like.
Yeah, the Met Guard ones are they're great. But that is the smoothest 45. Like I have. It's amazing.
This shoots like really hot ammo out of a Glock 17, but it's not as jarring as like a 1911 shooting the same power factor. That one like goes back into recoil, like stops in your hand and then goes forward. This one kind of like lifts a little bit, but they're really high quality, fantastic guns. And you get over do 2 hours of reloads, you'll get over the magazine release thing, and you'll be off living right.
I like the European mag release.
I don't.
It's better.
It is better.
It's better. It's better if we all started with it.
Yeah. It's just like you have how many handguns, and they all have the
I resisted buying an HK for a long time because of that, and I finally bought a VP9. Absolutely loved that gun until I sold it to Gene.
Then they caved in with that B. This VP79B with the American. So the one thing is, like, I'll be sitting in gunnies like, dear God, do you guys have any primers? They're like, no, we don't have primers. All right, well, let me see that whatever's in the case. And you'll be listening to people, and they'll show them like a P30 or an HK VP9, and they're like, then they try to get it with their thumb, and then they don't like it. And then they're like, well, you can put your finger, it's meant to be done with your index finger, you put it down there. And they're like, that's kind of dumb. And then you just kind of like, no. So you don't shoot the damn gun when you're trying to reload.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people's like, what are all the negligent discharges in USPSA or something like that is they load with their finger on the gun, they stick the magazine in, they drop the slide, and they inertia fire the gun. Or they're just not used to it, and gun's not empty, they're doing like a speed load or whatever, and their finger's on the trigger, and they do that. While on an HK system, you take your index finger, put it down to eject the magazine, and there's no way that you can accidentally discharge the pistol.
Right.
So it's just like...
And with my short fingers, I can reach the mag release better than I can with my thumb.
And then when you put the gun, especially all the new modern HKs, when you put the gun in the other hand, you have literally the same controls on the other side.
Yeah.
So my opinion has always been is like reversible magazine releases are very, like the paddle's great. Reversible is good. The worst ones that anyone's coming out are the ambies. They're the worst ones. The Springfields, the dang AREX, the IWI Masada, the FNs where you push through and it pushes onto the other side.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's got like this locking bar effect because it's downward pressure on the magazine release, and they just suck, but you can get used to them. Anyways, I do have an IWI Masada. It's not there. This was a gun I got project I did this year, which is my new carry gun. This is a Gen 5 Glock 19 front slide. Front serrations. It was not an MOS cut. I sent it to Jaegerworks and to get it cut, and they told me it was an 8-week wait. 12 weeks later, my pistol showed up. And so it's I hadn't been into the micro red dots on handguns until this year, and so I bought a Streamlight TLR 7A, which is the best light. It's like there's brighter lights. There's no better light for concealed carry.
Oh, yeah. That is very
500 lumens. It has the best activation switch. 500 lumens, 500 candela. The nice thing about this is like when you put this on a Glock 19, you're still carrying a Glock 19. When you put a TLR 1 on a Glock 19, you're actually carrying a Glock 34 size handgun.
Or bigger.
Yeah, it's just like...
Yeah.
So I am a big proponent of carrying full-size handguns, compact size, and up. Not really for the subcompacts. But I had them put an RMR. I put an RMR on it, and I actually put the irons in front of the RMR.
Interesting.
So when you actually look through it, because of the height of the RMR and back, the backup sights really are you probably get a 10th or a 16th of an inch where you can actually visibly see them. So they really do not obscure the lens. The optic is far enough back that you get as much real estate on the RMR as possible. And if you need to find the dot in an awkward shooting position, you can still use those backup irons to find it. And so I thought I was going to have one dot gun, and so I was like, if one breaks, someone will always have a Glock 17, and what's the most reliable dot on the market? And so I bought the RMR.
Yeah.
So it's a 6 MOA dot. What is it? The RM06. So it's a Type 2 auto and non-auto version RMR with a 6 MOA dot.
That's the same model of RMR that I got.
Yeah.
I threw it on my Glock 34.
Yeah, and
I like it. Do you leave yours on just all the time?
All the time, maximum.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes you can leave it on auto. Maximum brightness just seems to work. If you need it, it's there. The one thing that, what was I going to say? The one thing that I really like about it, it's just kind of a bulletproof kind of setup. So it's good. Gen 5 Glocks, really good. Finally got over that Gen 4 thing, so good for them. Got that, and then I have my second favorite pistol I would like to show you guys. And then I have my first favorite, which was the one refinished by Lee over at Black Ice Coatings. This is the main production gun that probably saw, I don't know, at least 5,000 or 6,000 rounds. That's a Wilson Combat Brigadier Tactical, which I did all the trigger work on and just shot that at the USPSA State Championship, where in its last match in production, it managed to take home a state title.
Nice.
And so,
nice.
Then I broke it apart the next day. You know what it had? A broken firing pin. I shot the entire match with a broken firing pin. And so that's kind of the thing with the Beretta design. The Beretta likes to work. It can work pretty broke in internal spots. It is a pain in the ass to tear down. It has 93 or 96 parts inside the gun, but they run and they're accurate.
Pain in the butt to build holsters for.
Yes. Well, all the open grooves and stuff on the slide. And
all the controls that are all depressed in there. Yeah.
But yeah, so I did some trigger work on that if you want to mess around with it. So the one thing about the Berettas is you can get the double action. So the single action there, I like it about north of the 3 pounds. And then the double action on that one I think is about 7 pounds. Nice. So it's just enough that you don't accidentally shoot it off.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big proponent of actually being able to prep the trigger and know exactly when that gun's going to break.
Right.
And then set it off. But yeah, my first gun ever, I was a 92 Brigadier, and so when this Brig Tac came available, I bought it, and it's been an absolutely just workhorse, fun gun, and the finish is all worn off, and the mag well's all chewed up, and it's all beat up.
You know a guy that can fix that.
I know. I know. And believe me, it's on the list. So
that thing, black iced.
Yep. The one thing about Wilson Comet is like they have their armor tough finish. Like, all right, it's neither one of those two words. It's better than the Burton finish that comes on the factory Berettas.
Yeah.
Just because the Burton finish is like, it's like they take chalk, black chalk, they wet it down, and then they drop the pistol in it, and then they dry it, and it's like, it's yours. And so, show the Arex. This is my favorite handgun of all time.
Ooh.
And everyone's gonna go with that thing.
It's a high point?
Oh!
No, just kidding.
Almost.
This is the Beretta PX4
The PX4.
And this one, Lee over at Black Ice Coating refinished it for me.
That's like a redheaded stepchild.
I will tell you. So, I've shot thousands of rounds out of the M&P series, and they're good guns. Like, I think I've had better luck with the M&Ps than I've had with the Glock, and both of them are great. I carry a Glock 17, not knocking it. Beretta 92 has been more reliable than both of these things. In the 5 years of shooting this, and I've shot this gun a lot, I've never had one malfunction with the damn thing. It is probably one of the most underrated, reliable systems, and give you 2-inch groups, and it's a pretty simple setup. The recoil's pretty light.
It's such a weird design.
Everything about that gun is weird.
Yeah.
The barrel moves and rotates.
Yeah.
Correct, which means that it doesn't pitch up or down, so your lockup is actually pretty consistent. It's almost like a fixed barrel gun. And so
it's so weird.
I put a pair of LPA adjustable sights, did a lot of trigger work on the thing, and then had it refinished. The double action on that one is just butter.
That is, yeah, it's smooth, man. That's good.
And so the nice thing is that after a little bit, Beretta actually started supporting it, and so you can get extended magazine releases, different types of safeties. If you're familiar with Beretta series guns, you either get like an F or a G, which is a decocker only. The PX4 comes standard in F, but you just remove a pin and then it becomes a G model, so it's a decocker only setup. I put a Langdon bobbed hammer on the thing and did a bunch of trigger work, and then had it looked like dog poo. I mean, this gun looked beat up, and then Lee over at Black Ice.
Well, now it just looks like a polished turd.
It's the frame's not getting any better with the homemade stipple job, but it's
but it works.
That's what it does. It just, the stippling works and the gun works, and the PX4 Compact. The PX4 Compact is, I believe, the best double single carry gun.
And they don't make those anymore, do they?
There's a little bit of a contention about what's going on with the Beretta PX4. I talked to some people at Gunny's that I'm friends with. They can't seem to get them from Beretta. The difference is that this is one of the Berettas that is manufactured in Italy, and so it is still on the website. They still have parts for it. I think you can still order it if you're at a gun show, or like a SHOT Show or something like that.
Yeah.
Whether or not you get them, Ernest Langdon at LTT occasionally gets them. And so they are a fantastic gun. Would I recommend buying them if they're discontinued? No, don't buy any discontinued gun. But it's a fantastic pistol, and it very much underrated. The nice thing about that too is you take it apart with 2 pins, and so trigger jobs are like 10 times easier than on a 92. And I in fact use the PX4 to do the trigger work on the hammer and the sear of a 92, because it uses the same parts. You can put a 92 hammer on a PX4, and you do that, and then when you get it right where you want it, you take it back out of the PX4 and put it in the 92, and then you got yourself a jig. So it's a very underrated firearm, and I just love it to tears. And like when they tell me they can't find them anymore, it's broken, and I literally like went online and bought. Beretta has like these parts that have like everything but a barrel slide and a frame. And it's like $275, and it comes in a case, and I bought one. I was just like, I gotta make sure it runs.
Just so you can keep it running.
So you buy it, and you're like, I gotta make sure it runs. Are you gonna shoot anymore? It's like, no, it's discontinued. I don't want to bring it. So,
just in case.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff out there, but I would say for sure, like if you're going out, you need a light. That TLR7A is the best thing going.
I just put the TLR7 sub on my P365 XL.
Yeah.
That's what's on my hip.
That's what's on his hip. And so, yeah, it's probably the best setup. It's probably one of the best lights where you actually go appendix or inside the waistband or outside the waistband, where it's just like, it is not, like, when you put a light on the gun, like the retention kind of goes, and the holster kind of goes bad. And then
it's different.
And the holster gets wider.
Yep.
And then it's like, carrying a flashlight's a great idea. The consequences to the holster and the concealment when carrying a flashlight, I mean, for a season there, it's still going on. Like, people have the biggest, most ridiculous inside the waistband setups.
I've got customers. I've built stuff. Let's see, the FNX 45 Tactical with the TLR 2. So the light and laser.
Light and
combo.
laser. Yep.
Inside the waistband.
Yep.
I'm like, really? Okay.
I have a hard time living with a full-size Glock 17 in a appendix, but yeah, you got to pick something that's comfortable. A Glock 19 with the TLR 7A is about the safest way to fly. Like
it's a good setup because it's small enough, like you said, that it's not taking up a whole lot of extra space. It's
got
bright enough.
Light.
Yeah.
It's made by a reputable company.
Yeah.
It's like,
and they're not crazy expensive. They're about $140
$140.
Yeah.
You can grab one, and they take one CR123 battery, so let's like not cook it off and keep one around if you need it. But they have that switch where you push in. It's the best switch. And it comes with like 7 different attachments to get it to fit perfectly on your gun.
Right.
And it absolutely looks ridiculous on an HK-45. I've messed around with that. It looks like, what are you doing? Looks like one of those old fake lasers that they would like point on the bottom of a gun.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are currently my favorite things to mess around with going to the range and stuff like that. It's
nice.
They're service-size handguns. Like, that's the only thing I like.
I think the worst combination I've seen for a light and a gun, as far as like quality, good stuff goes, there's a lot of garbage out there. I've had people bring me lights or lasers, and I look at it, I'm not building you a holster for that.
Yeah,
because it won't last as long as a holster.
Well, because they'll have like 3 soft, squishy buttons on the sides of them, and I'm like, you're going to activate everything on that going in and out of the holster. But and I see this fairly regularly, is a 1911 with a TLR1 on it. The light is about twice the width of the gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just...
And what's that do to the retention of the holster?
Oh, it's horrible.
Kills it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's functional.
Yes.
It's functional, or I wouldn't make them. And honestly, it's hard to make them because the opening over the trigger guard has to be so big so the light can come in and out that you have to be really careful, or you can still stick your finger all the way down and reach the trigger while it's fully holstered.
And that's the one thing is like you run into a bunch of new shooters, and we had I shot a match not last Saturday, the Saturday before, and we had 5 or 6 like new shooters, and a lot of them were carrying like the very small guns, like the P365. Some guy had a G2 Taurus.
Right.
Guy had an EMP, and then they had some other guy had some smaller whatever. And we were talking about this one kid was like borrowing a gun. He's like, "What kind of gun should I get?" It's like, you get a 3rd generation Glock.
Yeah.
Get a 3rd generation Glock. Like
hard to go wrong with that.
Like what can't you do with the 3rd generation Glock? You can put an optic rail on the dust cover and put an Aimpoint T1 on a 3rd generation Glock. Like you can do anything with the sights. Like get that. You won't put a red dot on it. Anyone on earth can cut it. Like throw it into a dumpster. Someone will cut an RMR cut for you. And it's like, but the good thing is like nowadays it's like you have no excuse buying a terrible handgun when you have $400.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good options. You really have to try hard to buy something really bad.
I know. I mean, like I know the Ruger pistols are ugly.
Yeah.
But like they work.
Yeah.
The Security 9 and the American is just like, those things still work. And
everything nowadays though, everything works. I mean, it's pretty hard to find a bad handgun because there's so many options that...
Well, and Koenig keeps driving down the market. They're like, we'll just give you more features. It's like, and it's like you buy a Koenig or Yannick or whatever you want to call it, and it's just like, I got the latest one 3 months later. They're like, new improvements. It's like, damn it.
And they're so cheap, and they work great.
They work fantastic. Literally, we see them in USPSA. 20% of the shooters are shooting those.
If you want to get into competitive shooting, that is a great gun to start with.
Comes with enough magazines, high capacity, extended magazine release button,
and like you said, it's got good features. They're reliable. I think they're kind of clunky, personally.
They are not ergonomically fantastic.
Yeah, they're a little chunky.
Yeah.
I had one for a couple of days.
Yeah, they don't finish you.
But that's a personal preference. Like
it is
because some people say Glocks are chunky,
and they are.
Yeah.
And so are Springfield XDs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all super.
Yeah,
there's
reliable
nothing wrong with them.
Well, the one thing
they
too
go
is like
bang every time.
You get one of these Koenigs or one of these $400 handguns, and then you go like silicone carbide the grip. They'll like custom fit your hand, and it's like, well, you might ruin the $400 gun. Easy, Tony. It's just like, so it's like you get that. The one I would say that gives it a run for its money is the IWI Masada. I got one of these a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Trigger's fantastic. I shot at 10 yards. I shot a 7th from a rest, 0.7 of an inch group, and so at 25 yards, it still holds like a sub 2-inch group.
They're accurate. That's good, man.
Nice.
And like there's a new thing going around in the industry now, which is optics ready handguns that aren't actually optics ready. Like, we'll give you a certificate. What do I do with the certificate? You give it to us, then we'll send you a plate. Can I get an RMR plate? 22-week back order. Like that's optics ready now.
Oh gosh.
And so like IWI, they did the right thing is they made the gun built around the optics. They bossed it. They have plastic plates that aren't plates, but they're actually spacers. Mm-hmm. So you go from the top of the gun through the spacer into the slide. And the nice thing about direct milling and having a spacer setup instead of plate setups like an MOS is you can literally chock the top of the screws and make sure that gun is still torqued to spec or whatever, instead of having to remove the optic to check the plates and then to put the optic back on to check them. So if you're looking to, and it's optics ready for only $404.
Right.
I saw it at Family Firearms. I think it's AR14.com now. And it was like $404, and I was just like, I started this year with no optic guns. I'm ending it with 3, maybe 4. So if you're looking at one, IWI Masada feels great, looks good. IWI supports it, $25 magazines, holsters, and all that jazz.
Nice.
It's a fantastic little gun.
Nice.
And the Ambi controls actually work like ambient controls, not like the Smith & Wesson 2.0.
Do they have a threaded model?
I don't think they have a threaded model yet. It has a chassis system like the P320, so if it becomes successful enough, you'll see it in compact frames and threaded models.
So it's modular like that, where you can swap it out?
Pop it out.
Huh.
So you want to jack up and do stupid things with your grip, feel free.
Yeah.
They got plenty.
You can get another one for $60.
So, yeah, they're fantastic. Comes with like 4 different types of plates. It's a good setup. I should have brought it to show you guys, but yeah, that's where to roll.
Very cool. So before we check out, tell us what you're up to. You're still doing the Paracast.
I'm still doing the Paracast. I did the training thing for 5 or 6 years, and then I was spending every weekend out at the range shooting competitions or training. Mm-hmm. And then I was just taking that money from training and buying more guns. So it wasn't a good conversation on some of the weekends with the wife, And so I stopped that in 2020, and thank goodness I did, because Rona just killed
it anyway.
Killed everything and killed all the primers. So yeah, still shooting competitions, doing the Paracast every week or every other week, depending on what we get out there and get done, and just hanging out and enjoying life, man. Good. Like, it's still reloading when I can. Bought the Dillon 650, got all it leveled out, sold my Lee Loadmaster to some guy. I was like, see you later, Lee Loadmaster.
Yeah, the last year or so is the perfect time to... There were no reloading presses in any shop. Like, you could dump your old Lee single stage, like the little crappy one. I sold that thing. And I was selling like
goodbye. I was like, I'll put in the 45 and the 9mm and the 223 powder measures, like $600. And someone's like, I'll be there in a second. Like, let me go grab it. And so I bought that thing for like $240.
You know what's crazy about the Dillon stuff, though? I mean,
I bought a 650, and 6 months later they came out with a 750.
Well, I mean, everything's still compatible. You buy this fancy, expensive press, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh man, this is awesome.
Oh yeah.
What's that big thing I can get on top? It'll feed the cases automatically for me? Oh, how much does that cost? It costs like, I don't know how much, $200 or whatever.
I think it's more than that, because my whole setup cost me like $1,300.
Yeah. So,
and the 650 was like
$700. Yeah, you buy the base press, just the press, and you're like, oh yeah, that's not, I mean, it hurts. It's painful to fork it out. But then there's all these little additions. Like, I just barely ordered the case trimmer.
Oh yeah,
the big one. Yeah,
that's living life.
So I'm going to be able to. I think I got the dies ordered. They're back ordered on a lot of stuff, but just to size my 223 brass and 300 blackout brass and the 308 brass, and have it trim as it sizes.
That's like 1050 life.
That was like, oh my goodness, that's saving so much time, and it's going to make me a happy guy.
Eventually you just get used to it and just spend the money.
But it costs so much,
I have
every
a friend
little piece.
who basically has a 1050 that he got from helping a guy, and he just has that set up for a 223 case prep.
Yeah.
Like, that's living life. But yeah, I literally didn't have to make the decision. My wife made it for me. I went to 2018 Barry Still Open. My freaking Lee Loadmaster had something, so I loaded 1,000 rounds, and 102 of them were squibs.
Oh geez.
And so I went down there and just pooped all over myself the first day, and took like a couple zeros, and then my friend Robert had a bunch of ammunition, and he sold it to me for 4 cents a round. And so I went out there and shot the next day, and got back to second place on the thing. But I developed a nickname. So on the Paracast, they call me Tomas the Boss Hernandez, just because Tomas the Boss Nelson doesn't sound good. And then after that time, I was known as Squib Nandez. And so thanks to Ed Jackson out there in Alaska. So yeah, and then so we had that thing, and I was feeling pretty down on myself, and my wife's just like, buy the better press. And it was like an alcoholic. I was just like, I need help. I need help. It's time. Geez. It's time. So
then just wait. You'll be pretty soon. You're gonna be like, oh man, I got this set up. It takes too long to change caliber, so I need another 750 press. I need one for 223, one for 9mm, and then.
But it's 45 in October and 223 in November, and that's the rest of it's set up for 9. So I kind of get all that stuff done. You get the imperial sizing wax out, you lube all those cases, you dump them around, you feed them through the case feeder, you resize them all, and you just suck up it's like, I'm gonna load 1,000 rounds of 223. We're gonna do this. And then you're like trimming them and stuff. Like, you got the trimmer, you're sitting on the couch trimming them all. So, yeah. As long as you space it out, you can keep your sanity. But, like, if I had the advice to tell the new shooter, you have $3,000, you're going to buy a 750, you're going to get the case feeder, you're going to get a Glock, a TLR7, a couple holsters, a decent, like, handheld flashlight, and just live with that. Don't do anything else, and live with that for 5 years, and you'll have a great time and be an excellent shot. So that's the buy once, cry once. Instead of, I spent 10 years before I bought a chrono, and now I have a chrono, and I'm like, well, why didn't I? Obviously had $120 like laying around somewhere. So
the new chronographs are so nice too. They like Bluetooth, hook up to your phone.
I have the CED one.
They speak to you.
I shoot through it. It tells me the velocity, keeps all the loads. We shot a 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, Steve Koski's 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, to see what the power factor is. So bullet weight times velocity. 400. I'll give you the load data. 440 grain, I think, bullet on 34 grains of trail boss or what IMR.
Probably not
4227.
Okay, yeah, that'll give it a more oomph.
And so it's like, well, how fast is that going? So it gave a 645 power factor. So like a 9mm, it's 125 is the floor for IDPA, yours PSA, and you're like shooting for like 135. Give you a little space. Mm-hmm. And that thing's 645, so 1,600 feet per second moving out of that thing. Like, talk about your bear and anti-hippo guns, like
yeah,
Smith & Wesson 500.
Yep, I need to get a second one of those.
He's got one he wore out, had to send it back to get rebuilt.
Your wrist is supposed to go out before they do.
Exactly.
Yeah. But when you can cast your own bullets, then you can shoot that thing so cheap. Yeah.
The only problem is that you have to literally watch the powder funnel in the press, like, go down a chunk every time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have to refill the powder thrower, like, I'm like every other throw.
It's like 8 pounds of Tiger, but I can make 14,000 rounds of 9mm with this. And then you get into rifles and, like, gigantic Magnum cartridges. I can make 1,200 rounds of this. So, good times.
Well, thanks for coming by, Tom.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Nice to catch up with you and hang out again. Thanks for listening. That's about all we got, I think.
Stay safe. Have fun.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.
Be nice.
Be nice.